Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment. Yes, after a good week plus of being completely embroiled in Shark Week coverage for the horror show, I am back with another Animated Monday, and this is all about a recent release, a 6-chapter, but the first in a trilogy of a CGI series that is on the Netflixes, which is called Transformers War for Cybertron. It is a prequel trilogy, and pretty dope, I must admit, from the visuals to the despite being a Y7, some of the urgency of the storytelling, I was quite impressed with this. But this is a non-spoiler, as I want to say first and foremost here. Another thing, though, is that I was just a few years removed from when the original Transformers cartoon series was really hitting proper. I think it was like 83, 84, something like that, when it was first hitting the US, at least where I'm at. And yeah, as the late 80s went on and I was a very, very young kid, you know, just a few years old, I got into stuff like G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe, and Transformers was just one that kind of went under the radar, at least as far as the original incarnation goes. I got into Transformers with a much cruder looking 3D animated version, which I guess is kind of a little side universe almost of sorts, which was Beast Wars. And I loved the hell out of Beast Wars. I thought that show was absolutely fantastic, and I'm still in the 90s when, well, later 90s, I guess, now that I think about it. But nonetheless, it was still when very impactful storytelling that wasn't really catered to kids and so on. And that's why I bring up the Y7 rating for this on Netflix, because of the fact that this, I mean, with the urgency of some of that aforementioned violence and the fact that characters do die, and also there's like a little bit of profanity, so to speak. I think there was like, somebody said he's acting like an ass in the first episode, and then another one, you know, they dropped the big D, you know, they said damn and such, but it's not like it's littered with bad words or anything like that. But the storytelling is definitely put together by people that more than likely, and I would say no doubt about it, we're big fans of this, you know, going back to, you know, some of its earliest incarnations. But then again, a lot of people who watched Beast Wars in the 90s are probably old enough to get involved with creating on something like this. But yeah, so this is a prequel, at least as far as I know, and that's where I was saying I'm not deep into the lore of the original series. You know, I've watched you know, Transformers the movie and such, and a few episodes here and there, but there were other series that caught my eye. But this one, from what I've read, is a prequel to actually getting to Earth and the original series, and, you know, waking up from that, what, 4 million year hibernation, whatever the hell it was. And so yeah, it's all about just kind of politics between you know, Megatron and you know, Optimus, and the fact that you've got these Decepticons and these Autobots that are both on Cybertron, and this war has been raging for a while when we join, you know, the events already in progress, so to speak. And yeah, the baddies, the Decepticons, they far outweigh the remaining resistance, so to speak. It's very much a Star Wars sort of dynamic in the fact that there is this small pocket of a rebellion that is still just fighting their damnedest, and yet being given the option by Megatron and the Decepticons, or at least, you know, the powers that be, so to speak. You've still got Starscream being a shithead and everything, but you know, there is just treaties on the table and an end to this civil war on Cybertron, and yet Optimus is not about it. However, there are others within his camp that are seemingly receptive, just based on the amount of cybernetic life that has been lost. And so that was one of the most interesting things that I found about this, especially from the storytelling standpoint, was that there is legit just divisions in both ranks, without spoiling things, as I said, and there's a lot of politics on the table as far as, okay, you know, if you agree to lay down your arms and go with, you know, Megatron and his forces, and, you know, we will let you live, and yet then in turn you find out later on what the real plan is, and without spoiling things. But yeah, man, it's just interesting the way all of it develops. And then you have Bumblebee, who is like this proverbial wild card of sorts, and yes, I know he got his own movie. I know that he is a fan favorite. I was not a fan of the live action Transformers stuff. I watched the first two, I think, and then just kind of pieced out. But I did watch Bumblebee, and I loved it. I thought it was great. And the fact that it was kind of that proverbial prequel, yeah, a little bit in the 80s nostalgia, just going to the well ever since Stranger Things. Everybody has been doing that, but I love Bumblebee. With Travis Knight, I believe, the director of that one. It's probably, aside from the very first Transformers film, my personal favorite. And I didn't even really like that first Transformers film very much because, you know, Josh and LaBouffe and all those, like, I don't know. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, despite, you know, a vague kind of knowledge of the original, you know, animated series and whatnot. So that aside, this is very well animated, and at least in my estimation, and I'm sure that some people who are anime avant-gardes, they would probably be like, oh no, there's better looking stuff out there. Touche, if that's the case and that's the way you feel. But I thought this looked supremely badass, especially in a later episode, a particular moment that Bumblebee has with, I guess, a higher power within this world without getting too into things. And so yes, the visuals, the intensity, all of that was most definitely there. I'm stoked as hell to see what the second and the third chapter do, because it's like kind of a cliffhanger-y thing without super spoiling. But yeah, the voice work was good from everybody across the board. I know that despite retaining, I know same Optimus Prime guy, if I'm not mistaken, everybody did voices on the films and everything, but not sure if same Megatron, but I didn't watch any of those later films, so, you know, I never covered them, and I didn't give that much of a crap to see them, and I know how people feel about the predominance of them, Michael Bay. So what much do I have to say there? But the stand-ins for both of them, as I presume was the case here, for our two, you know, just big conflicting leaders, was solid, and I loved all the supporting cast, and, you know, despite the fact that some go into, like, pseudo-British, Aussie type accents, and yet everyone else, I don't know, personal choices from the creative team there, but I was engaged. I was enthralled, and I wasn't necessarily expecting to be. Another thing to mention is that very condensed. Each episode is like 20-something minutes, but like 2 minutes less if you include the fact that you've got, you know, end credits. And thankfully Netflix, where this dwells, they always allow you to skip the intro if you've seen it already, and to skip, you know, the end credits, because there's nothing really there except for the last episode, the 6th episode, like I said. So deeper than I thought it was going to be. I knew the animation was going to look cool because I had already watched the trailer and I was already very stoked for this. And for somebody who isn't as deeply entrenched in the lore of Transformers, and I know that there were, even after Beast Wars, various other incarnations through comics and through a few other animated series. I know they did one in, what, 2007, if I'm not mistaken, but bottom line, I was really impressed with this, and I can't wait to see what they do with the second and the third installments of this respective trilogy. But gotta say, Transformers Siege, War for Cybertron, so Siege, actually, the proper distinction, Transformers War for Cybertron Siege was pretty damn impressive, and yeah, I give it 4 out of 5 Fuego Fireballs. This was fun. Not all of the humor landed, unfortunately, but I don't even remember all of the humor landing in a lot of stuff that I enjoyed back in the 80s, from, you know, G.I. Joe to even Ninja Turtles, which I think debuted at the beginning of the 90s. But, like, my jams, you know, were Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, Masters of the Universe, Ninja Turtles. I just never delved that deep into Transformers. But I saw that the original series is streaming for free on Tubi, which, if you guys don't know about Tubi, they're not, like, sponsor of this video, although I wouldn't say no. But yeah, all 4 seasons of the original show. I don't know if they have the Transformers movie with that awesome soundtrack of "You Got the Touch," and I know there was some silliness at times in every incarnation I've seen at least a few episodes of, but this one, it kept it pretty serious. So yeah, 4 out of 5, and yeah, I can't wait to see where they go in the future with this. And there's lots of juggling, lots of balls in the air, and you learn an interesting just extent about the conflict and the culture of the society on Cybertron. So yeah, I thought it was pretty damn cool, man. And if you have like 2 hours to spare, and you know, if you're getting kind of bored with Umbrella Academy, or you're like, Old Guard's just not my thing. I mean, there's lots of stuff to watch on Netflix, but especially if you're down with animated stuff, this is something you should check out. So, I've been Jaime En Fuego. Y'all can find moi on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube. Yeah, lots of stuff to check out here on my channel, but really the thing to mention this week is the fact that on the Horror Show channel, youtube.com/the Horror Show channel, the bigger channel I'm a part of, over 34,000 on the subscribership and everything, we have been doing Shark Week coverage, reviews of the Jaws movies, Deep Blue Sea movies, the open water films, and just pretty much everything Sharktastic you could think of. So obviously, do a like, a share, and a subscribe if you're inclined for the future here. But yes, jump over and give that stuff a look, because it was a lot of fun putting that together as I took a brief little absence from my channel here. And yeah, I guess that's going to wrap it all up for today. I have a lot of other stuff to finish up as far as viewership this week, but there will be a new Fresca Fuego review tomorrow of a film called I Used to Go Here, I believe it is, and it's got Jermaine Clement, one of the girls from Community. Her name eludes me, but unimportant. Just thanks so very much for spending some time with me here today, and until the Reel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, Cinemigos, constant viewers and readers at times alike. Say thank you for your time here, and I hope that we share more of this television palaver sooner rather than later. And until then, stay home, and I guess don't just watch Netflix, but this one is pretty damn good.